Samsung just released the Galaxy A35, which is supposedly an upgrade from the Galaxy A34. But is it? For a starting price of 520,000 Naira or $360. I'd love to answer 3 questions in this review. First, is the Galaxy A35 good value for money? Second question, should you upgrade from the Galaxy A34 to the A35? And the third question here would be, are there better options out there? I know you want to find out, and so without taking much of your time, yo guys, let's get started. On opening the box of the Galaxy A35, you should see a thin box that houses the SIM ejector, a USB Type-C to C cable, the user guide, and the smartphone itself below those. That's it, no charger or any other accessory. The Galaxy A35 supports 25 watts fast charging, but if you don't own a compatible USB power delivery adapter, you need to buy one. For design, the Galaxy A35 looks the same as many of the recent Galaxy A smartphones. And of course, there's nothing bad about that. This design has been perfected over the last couple of years. They are also instantly recognizable. Even though they are similar to the S series lineup, you can now tell the A series apart with the key island feature. And that's the thing that's been going on for the A series this year. It's generally a better experience if you ask me. This smartphone is now a dual glass smartphone with a plastic frame, which means it's gotten a glass back panel upgrade from the Galaxy A34, which was plastic at the back. The front panel has also been improved here, as you now have Gorilla Glass Victus Plus on the Galaxy A35 against the Gorilla Glass 5 you get on the Galaxy A34. Now, the most notable thing about this design is that the sides are now flat and glossy. Now, the Galaxy A35 comes in ice blue, lilac, lemon, and navy. By the way, you might want a brighter color in order to successfully hide fingerprints on this one. The frame on the Galaxy A35 is made out of thick plastic and it's now flat but with a matte finish which kinda hides smudges. There's no ugly or messy camera bump on the Galaxy A35. Samsung calls its camera design flowing, as it looks like the 3 rings are literally floating on calm waters. Design-wise, the Galaxy A35 is a solid, well-built smartphone. It offers a secure grip and feels safe in the hand most of the time. If you're one who notices these kind of things, you can tell that this is slightly heavier than the Galaxy A34. It sure has gained about 10 grams of weight against the A34, but it doesn't feel overweight. Aside the wedge here, the flatter sides and the new glass back, this is a really similar device to the Galaxy A34. In fact, they're about the same size. Now, protection. The Galaxy A35 is IP67 rated for dust and water protection, just like many of the Galaxy A devices these days, and in fact the same as the Galaxy A34 from last year. That didn't change. As far as the speakers, you get a stereo speaker configuration as expected. It's a hybrid setup, meaning the earpiece also acts as a speaker, while there's another full-blown speaker at the bottom side of the smartphone. Naturally, the earpiece is quieter and lacks that bass thumb, and the bottom firing speaker is the better one of the two. Now, the audio quality is great, good bass, rich vocals, and there's support for Dolby Atmos on this device. The audio here is quite solid. I know a lot of you want to know how the microphone on this device sounds like, so here you go. Here's what the mic on the Galaxy A35 sounds like when compared to the Galaxy A34. Here's what the mic on the Galaxy A35 sounds like when compared to the Galaxy A34. For biometrics, the A35 still retains the optical in-display fingerprint scanner, which isn't the fastest, but gets the job done. It brings you closer to the feeling that you are using a premium flagship-like device. Here you go. Reasonably fast. When it comes to displays, Samsung retained the same 6.6-inch Super AMOLED screen of Full HD Plus resolution, same as 1080 by 2340 on the Galaxy A34. You have the same 120Hz refresh rates, and it's pretty much the same panel on the Galaxy A34, together with the cut-up notch and fairly thick but even bezels on the smartphones. The chin looks a little off though. As far as brightness, we still get 1000 nits of brightness, same as the A34 and also the A55. But here, there isn't any HDR certification like the bigger brother, the Galaxy A55. So to set up your 120Hz refresh rates, from the smartphone settings under display, you can set motion smoothness modes to adaptive for up to 120Hz and standard for 60Hz. The adaptive mode drops the refresh rate to 60Hz when the screen is static, idling, or in this always on display mode, or also when using this incompatible apps like the camera app and the maps app. Colors, as always with Samsung, are punchy, really good. I would say top 3 for the price. This display is plenty bright that it is usable under direct sunlight. Now, there is a Gorilla Glass Victus Plus protection for this display, unlike the Gorilla Glass 5 we got from the A34. I also did notice a significant difference between these displays on the Galaxy A35 and the Galaxy A34. So generally, display here will be considered amazing for the Galaxy A35. The Galaxy A35 is based on Samsung's Exynos 1380 chipset, a familiar piece of silicon that is now effectively trickling down from last year's Galaxy A54. It offers 5G connectivity and is quite decent. You shouldn't expect a whole lot on this chipset. It is powerful enough for a smartphone of this caliber. It seems Samsung has managed to squeeze out a bit more performance out of this chipset on the Galaxy A35, unlike what we got from the Galaxy A54, but the difference won't be notable in everyday use or in practice. Overall, the Exynos 1380 has about as much single-core power as the Dimensity 1080 from MediaTek and 730, and also the Snapdragon 7S Gen 2. They are around the same ballpark. When compared to the Dimensity 7200 or the Snapdragon 7 Plus Gen 2 that's within the Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus 5G, those will give this a run for the money. The Galaxy A35 handles heat quite masterfully, as the Exynos 1380 isn't known to run particularly hot to begin with, but whatever heat does get generated doesn't seem to affect the sustained performance all that much. So when compared to the Galaxy A34 from last year, you definitely would notice an upgrade in performance. And for those of you who care to know, unlike the Galaxy A34, which started at 4 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of storage, this one starts at 6 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of internal storage. And you can max both of these devices to 8 gigs, 256 gigs memory configuration. You can expand the memories on these devices, the A34 and A35, using the hybrid SIM tray here up to 1 terabyte. Hybrid SIM slot in the sense that it is a shared SIM slot, either dual SIMs or one SIM and a memory card. Now, a lot of people love to see the numbers here on benchmark scores for Antutu, Geekbench, and 3D Mark on these devices. So here is a comparison between the Galaxy A35 and A34 for the benchmark scores. You get Android 14 out of the box with this one here and One UI 6.1, which is an adorable Android skin. As far as the updates in terms of the Android operating system, Samsung promises you up to Android 18, which is a 4-year timeline support, and up to 5 years of security patches on the Galaxy A35. This gives the A35 a 1-year lead over the A34 since it started at Android 13. If you are a casual gamer, I can promise you good gameplay sessions with the Galaxy A35. I played Call of Duty Mobile, PUBG, and Asphalt 9 extensively here, and I didn't notice any heat up or dropped frames for a casual gamer like myself. If you want to take things to the next level, let's say you're a serious gamer, wanting to maximize frame rates and all, then you can start noticing dropped frames when you try to push the titles to the maximum graphics settings. The phone effortlessly managed the titles I tried on here, delivering smooth visuals and responsive controls, plus its excellent display and sound quality made every gaming session an immersive experience. Now, the camera setup on the Galaxy A35 seems to be changed coming from the Galaxy A34, as the main camera is now 50 megapixels instead of 48 megapixels. The macro lens here, which is a 5 megapixel sensor, and an 8 megapixel ultra-wide sensors are the same from last year. The front-facing camera still maintains the same 30 megapixel sensor from the A34, and the main camera on the Galaxy A35 captures, beamed photos in 12.5 megapixel resolution by default. These offer pretty great quality overall. There's plenty of detail in the frame and very little artificial sharpening. Samsung's processing seems so relaxed here that there are even small hints of noise on things like uniform surfaces, and this makes for a very natural look. Colors aren't particularly oversaturated. This is the same thing I've noticed with the Galaxy A55 this year. I'm not going to say they're exactly true to life. Of course, they do have this little bit of pop, but nothing striking. Skin tones look very natural, and the only real complaint I have here is the autofocus that can sometimes miss the subject ever so slightly, resulting in softer faces. So you can make sure to snap a few shots to avoid that. You can actually set the main camera to capture in its full 50 megapixel resolution. This would result in extra file size and on paper an extra bit of detail, but I don't seem to find it very useful, especially since most of these photos would go on social media. Maybe you might want to use this feature whenever you want to do a digital 2x zoom. That will give you better detail than the regular mode when taking this kind of zoomed photos. For the 8 megapixel ultra-wide camera, it isn't spectacular for its class. When in good lighting, you can get good and decent contrast and good dynamic range. The colors are quite well matched to the main camera, but nothing exactly that matches the quality from the main camera. The 13 megapixel selfie camera produces solid shots through and through. Now, depending on which of these crop levels you use, you will either end up with the photos with just under 9 megapixel resolution or photos with just under 30 megapixel resolution. Faces come out sharp looking and detailed. Skin tones are nice and natural on this front-facing camera. perhaps with just a bit of extra saturation, but nothing excessive. When it comes to low light photos, the main camera captures solid but not so impressive low light photos. Of course, the detail is here and you get this pretty wide dynamic range, but this smartphone needs light to work well. The low light mode can come in handy though when there isn't any light source to save the day, but for noise on this kind of photos, you would definitely see those. By the way, the night mode turns on automatically in the dark for the A series devices this time. For the video side of things, the Galaxy A35 can capture videos at up to 4K at 30 FPS on its main camera. 4K video recording for the main camera is quite good, especially for the class. The detail on this video could be better, but there's no shortage of it either. Now the colors are a bit too saturated, but they still look good. Dynamic range and contrast are both great. For the selfie video side of things, you still can record at 4K 30 FPS. And on the plus side, the selfie videos look pretty great with lots of detail and well-defined facial features. Like on the other cameras, the colors are also a bit oversaturated here. You might want to compare this video with the Galaxy A34 as seen on screen from last year, and let me know what you think in the comment section below. The Galaxy A35 has a video stabilization toggle in the camera settings that is enabled by default and works across all cameras at their full resolution, and this stabilization does a very good job too. Beyond that, there's also a super steady mode which takes footage from the ultra-wide camera and is limited to 1080p in resolution, and this provides a little bit more stabilization too. Generally, the cameras on the Galaxy A35 earn a lead from the Galaxy A34. Of course, there are times when I prefer the photos from the Galaxy A34 from the main and the selfie camera. The only times I would go with the Galaxy A35 would be in terms of zooms, like this 2x here and 10x zooms, and also for the videos, which I had more accurate white balance on the Galaxy A35. Other than that, the photos were really similar and they can pass for each other. If you're loving this video so far, a sub and like to this channel would greatly be appreciated. Thank you. The Galaxy A35 is powered by a 5000 mAh battery. I expected it to offer a battery life similar to the Galaxy A54, but I'm pleasantly surprised as it scores even better. The entire Samsung Galaxy A lineup this year supports up to 25 watts fast charging, and so does the Galaxy A35, which comes out of the box without a charger. If you use the supported 25 watt power delivery charger, you should expect about 25% in 50 minutes, about 50% in 30 minutes, and from my test here, it would take you about 90 minutes to juice this bad boy from 0 to 100. This is similar to what we got from the Galaxy A55. And did I also mention you can easily go a day with this battery on one charge? Nothing to complain about here. And there are options available to extend your battery life on the Galaxy A35 from Samsung. Overall, a solid battery life. So the Galaxy A35 is a well-rounded device through and through. While it doesn't do anything groundbreaking or extraordinary with the tried and true Galaxy A formula, it further refines the A30 series. In fact, it is closer to the Galaxy A55 than to the Galaxy A25. Performance-wise, the Exynos 1380 you get on this device is a nice little step up from the Dimensity 1080 we got from the Galaxy A34. It is perfectly adequate for the price and enough to offer a fluent One UI experience. Now the question is, should you upgrade from the Galaxy A34? Well, if a slight design change, maybe for the glass back and look here, and also the performance uptake is something you really want to spend your money on, then you should upgrade. Personally, I don't think it's worth the hassle. You might want to look elsewhere if you already own the Galaxy A34 and want an upgrade. Better still, hold on to your Galaxy A34 and wait for the Galaxy A36 next year. That would be a better upgrade for you. But if you're coming from, say, the Galaxy A24, then this is a well-deserved upgrade. That said, there's no point in claiming that the Galaxy A35 is the best at everything in its class, especially considering the price. In fact, if performance is what you're looking for, then the Redmi Note 13 Pro 5G is a better performer for cheaper. But for an all-rounder smartphone, you know, the cameras, the good displays, more years of updates, you are sure to go with the Galaxy A35 as it remains attractive in its entirety as a package. Now check out my comparison between the Galaxy A35 and the A55 here. Cuidate.